Hey guys, it's your girl Mama V here, back for another baking video, and it's month of May, Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and I forgot that I had this recipe that I've tried, and so I wanted to bring it to you guys. It's basically Polynesian pineapple pie. I'm going to make two different versions of it. Bless you, my kids are in the background. I'm gonna make two different versions of it, and you guys go ahead and see which one you guys like best. And so I have already pre-measured everything, so I'll put everything in the description, but in here I have flour and baking powder, which I'm going to sift. It's all-purpose flour for this recipe. And then I have regular granulated sugar here that I'm gonna go pour into there. And then I have my butter here. It is melted unsalted butter. So I'm gonna pour it in. And then I'm going to mix this in and it will be crummy. So I'll show you guys a close-up. Bless you, baby. I'll show you guys a close-up of what it will look like. Now the butter is not going to be saturated with the flour. It's gonna have like this crummy texture, which I'll have a close-up of. Alright guys, so we have that mixed in, and then what we have next is we have regular milk, and I'm going to pour that in. So we have to do half a cup of milk. Alright, so that's half a cup of milk. There. And then what we're going to do is we're only going to use the egg yolks. We're not going to do the egg whites, and we're going to put it into the milk. So this is where I have the girls kind of off camera. They're going to pass me the eggs. Here you go. Okay, stand right there. Just pass it. There you go. Good job. Okay. So again, you're gonna just use the egg yolk. We don't want the egg whites.
No egg whites?
Yeah, no egg whites.
No egg?
We're gonna set them aside.
Oops,
that. Can you hand me the last egg? All right. It's okay. All right, there you go. Alright, so I'm gonna just use a fork. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna use a fork, whisk the egg and the milk together. Alright, so the base is actually pretty simple once you get the hang of it. And then for here, I'm going to slowly mix this liquid that I made out of the egg yolk and the milk into the flour and the sugar and the butter. So I'm gonna just start off slow, and I'm only gonna do half of it. Again, I'm gonna start off with mixing it with the spoon just because it's super doughy right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and mix in more of it, and then I'm gonna actually zoom in so you guys have an overview of what is happening, because I think the texture is really important, and make sure that you're getting it right. Alright guys, so for the most part the dough is mixed, but this is where the hand comes in. Some folks, you can go ahead and do your hand right away, but just because it's super doughy and I'm trying to stay sanitary because I'm gonna send this to my parents, I do half of it with the spoon and then I knead it. Alright, so see how I'm kind of kneading this? Again, if you feel like your dough is too sticky, you can add more flour, but just be careful on adding too much flour, because then your dough will be dry. It might taste good right out of the oven, but after a couple of days, it might be dry. I like my stuff super moist. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this into a clean bowl, the dough. And I'm going to cover it with saran wrap, and I'm going to let it sit in the fridge for probably like 2 hours. You could also do this overnight. And then I will go ahead and tell you guys why once I take it out of the fridge in a couple of hours. Alright guys, so I'm going to assemble the 2 different versions of the pineapple pie. And so I have my dough here. I have my jam here, which I will uncover the pineapple jam. I have to say, this is probably like the best consistency of jam that I've made. So I'm excited. And then, so the dough is kind of firm. So you're gonna need to use a lot of elbow grease in order to get it done. After a couple of rolls, it will for sure flatten out here. But I don't want to get dough on my fingernails, so that's why I'm using the spoon here. Alright. So for this first version that I am going to do is just my modified version if you want to do it quickly, or like the traditional Tongan pineapple pies as they say it. The reason why I freeze this dough is because it's a very delicate dough, and my body temperature has already softened from this to this solidness in a matter of minutes. And so I don't want it to fully melt all the way and become too thin that it becomes very hard to work with. So my leftover stick of butter, I'm gonna go ahead and use that to grease up my pan a little bit. I wouldn't use the spray stick, the spray olive oil or the spray butters, because I feel like it browns the bottom of the pie unevenly and it starts to bubble up, so that's why I like using butter for this recipe. Also, a lot of polys like use the butter like that for a lot of baking stuff. You just grease the bottom of it instead of that. So I have my pan greased and I have that. So what I am going to do now is I just want to, like the center part is where I want to put the filling. All right. I just want to show y'all this. Look at this feeling. Alright, so the center part is where I really want the filling to be. I don't want it to leak over too much because when I fold it, again, this dough's delicate. And the reason why I like this recipe, it's from a Polynesian New Zealand family, is because if you are used to Polynesian pies, they can tend to get kind of dry, the doughy part, and that's why it's really good with tea, because the tea gives it moisture. But this one, this dough is really soft, and even when you fold it, you'll see sometimes the dough over layers, but you still get some goodness. And actually, I'm gonna put a little bit thinner on the side, so when I fold, I like when you bite into it, it's a big crunch of pineapple. All right, so the sides thinner, because it's a bigger pineapple, and this part you kind of gotta do quickly in a bunch. So then what I do is I do this, like this, and then this. And then see this part, good thing it's a little thick because then I can push it out a little bit. I don't like it to be fully covered. I like when the pineapple starts leaking through the top. So this is fine. And then take this top part and then fold in those edges. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like a lot of Tongan pies have the overlap there, and it gets too dry and you need a whole lot of spit to eat. So I'm gonna pick that up, put it in my pan, and then put it in the oven. And I'll show you guys the end result of it once I put it in the oven. Alright guys, the second version of this is you have to cook it in 2 parts, unlike the roll one I did. And then so I am going to again grease my pan very well. And this one you're gonna make kind of like your regular American pie where the crust is on the outside. And so here we go. Bake this, no filling yet. Again, it's a 2-part. You're gonna bake it until it's about 3/4 the way done, and then you're gonna add your filling and then cook it again, bake it again for about 10 minutes so that way the filling can settle in. So I will be back. All right, guys. So the other version of the pie, the other one's still baking. That's pretty much done, but this one, the bottom crust is kind of thicker than I thought. Again, this is my first time making this version of it, so I'm going to go ahead and just pile on the pineapple, and then we are gonna put this. Looks like whipped cream. And put this on here. All right, so we have that there, and then your canned peaches. I love these. We're gonna top it with some canned peaches. Put that on the side. That fell. If I had time, I would cut it up. And then I'm gonna sprinkle some of almond shavings. You can use peanuts, you can use any type of nuts. And I use a thinly sliced one because then it's going to brown on top and add a crunch. I like this because it has a whole bunch of different textures. Alright guys, so here it is. There it is. I'm gonna put it in for about another 5 to 10 minutes just so that the toppings can settle in with it, and then I will be back with both pies. Alright guys, so we are back here with both pies, and this one that was more than 1 bake is actually supposed to sit overnight, so I'll show you guys a picture of how that works out. And then this one just came out of the oven, so I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. That center goodness. Alright guys, so look at that. There, it's in there in multiple layers. More cool, you can eat it like with your hands, but yeah, this one is not that cool, so it's a little bit, look at that, it's a little bit thing. I just love it because it's so moist. Even a day after, I like it when it's cold and it's a day after. You eat this with tea, coffee, yes. And then this one, I don't want it to break because as you guys know, it's a thick layer of pineapple, and then look at that beautiful crust on the topping, and it was just egg whites and all that. So see, look at that beautiful crust. It's all golden brown. So yeah, thank you for joining me with the Tongan pie recipes. And yeah, you guys have a blessed one. Stay hydrated and safe out there because it is hot. Peace out, y'all.